It's finally October, and that means it's time for some spooky videos. So I decided, what's better to do in the spooky season than talk about some of my very own paranormal experiences. Now, I'm a skeptic myself. I grew up watching shows like Ghost Hunters and absolutely believing everything that happened on it. But Jason being my favorite and him being a skeptic himself, I learned to kind of take everything with a grain of salt. And any ghost experience can probably be explained in some way or another. With that being said, I'd like to get into my own weird experiences. Some I've never really been able to understand fully what they were. We'll start off with the smaller things. When I was younger, I experienced this weird phenomenon a few times that I'm not sure how to explain. Basically, this sound that sounded like someone going right into my ear would happen. Weirdest of all, when it did happen, it would always be right when I turned a corner or something similar. And this wasn't some quiet sound. This was a very audible, make me jump type of sound. The last time I heard it was the loudest, and the very last time it ever happened. It was also the only time I ever mentioned it to anyone. I'm not entirely sure what it was that could have caused it, but still, I think about it every now and again. One year, my parents and I went to the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida. This lighthouse has a reputation of being haunted. There was even an episode of Ghost Hunters where the TAPS team did an investigation that I did watch when I was younger. The lighthouse was really cool looking. We even got to climb to the top. Either way, there was one point where we went to the basement of the lighthouse and they started talking to us about something I don't really remember. It was dark. I was kind of separated from everyone else, and of course, I feel something touch my shoulder. Plain as day, something just taps me, right on the left shoulder. This was spooky, but had me even more ready to see more of the lighthouse. Now, this could easily be debunked a few ways. We were still in a room full of people. Someone could have touched me on accident. My parents even could have done it as a prank. Or even just the fact that I went into the lighthouse expecting to see a ghost had my brain on high alert, and when we got into a dark basement, my brain thought, this is a good time, and played a trick on me. I've left the most interesting one for last. So, for most of my life, I've never really lived in the city. I've always lived right outside it. But when I was a lot younger, I lived back on the back roads. 15 minutes to the nearest grocery store. My parents had a house built on the property where we were living at. Because we were still in the process of moving everything into the house, I didn't have curtains on my windows. Not a huge deal, we lived in the middle of nowhere, no one would look in. Well, this is where the weird starts happening. So there I was, laying in my bed one night, when I happened to glance up at the sky. I see this thing flying across it. It kind of looked like a plane, but the lights were all wrong. Instead of just normal lights on the wings, it looked as though the lights were going in a circular motion. There was also a single light above the circular lights, right in the middle. Think if the Jetsons vehicle had lights for the night, that's what this would have looked like. I know, kind of funny, but at the time this is what I was picturing. A UFO with a little dome and a light on the top. So I'm laying there, just looking at it, trying to make out what kind of weird plane it is, until my little brain decides this is some kind of weird UFO. I decide to jump out of bed because I'm going to head outside to get a better view. Well, I get to the door. I look out the window to see something in the yard jump up and run off to the right side of the house. It had a humanoid shape and was completely white. I run back into my room to see if I can see it from there, but it was gone. I only have a few theories on what these things might have been. The UFO could have easily just been a plane. I was laying in bed. It's possible I was just seeing it from a weird angle. The humanoid thing in the yard? Our house did get broken into once, so I guess it's likely it was the person just hanging out trying to do it again? But maybe it saw me and booked it? But they were tall, and too lanky to be a human. It's also possible my brain was just playing a weird trick on me. I looked into the darkness after seeing what, at the time, I perceived to be a UFO, and maybe my brain decided to throw an alien outside. Either way, it's still something I've never forgotten about. And those are the only paranormal experiences I've ever had. Not many, and probably not as spooky as some other people. But they've always been with me, so I thought I might as well share them with everyone else. Feel free to comment below with any of your own personal paranormal experiences, because I would love to hear them. And until next time.